Welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know us, I'm Chiara. Together with my colleague Pia, we launched this amazing adventure that is Creative Morning Venice. Creative Morning is actually a global platform. It was created in the US. Its headquarters is in New York, and then it was kind of spread out all over the world. So it's a global activity. And the format and the idea behind it is to create a series of free monthly breakfast and conversation. So the format that you will have today is a presentation together with Alice, and then afterwards a beautiful breakfast, kindly sponsored by our friends by Rimani. And this is kind of the way we normally do it. But we can have, instead of a presentation, a performance, a concert, a dancing session. So the idea is to bring together all the creative energies that are based within a local community. And us, obviously, we work in Venice. We can proudly call ourselves Venetians, and we are very aware of the fact that there is a great vibing energy underneath the fabric of the city, but very often we don't have the voice to kind of speak about all these things that happen. And yeah, you're all here, so this means that you also truly care about the city. You also took time to wake up at 8 in the morning and be here and be present, so we're really thankful about that. For those of you who know us already, this is a very, I'm really pleased to say that this is our 10-month anniversary, and we're very thrilled to be back to our headquarters. This space is the viewing room of our gallery. Normally we do events also outside. Last month we did it at the Scuola San Giovanni Evangelista. But we mix. We like to create some changes, so in order to keep updated with all our event information, we kindly ask you obviously to register through the website. We have a form, follow us on Instagram, and then obviously if you enjoy what we do, spread the word with your friends. And today, because Creative Mornings has a theme, normally the headquarters in New York changes a theme that it remains the same for all the cities that participate in it. The theme of this month is Crossroad. So I'm very happy to announce that our speaker for the day is Alice on behalf of Wetlands. And Alice Ongaro Sartori is curator and researcher, am I correct? And interested in how art and moving image intersect with ecology and themes related to ecology. Until 2022, you were co-curator of the independent project Microclima, and you were also working for the Floating Cinema. We also hosted an event for Creative Mornings with them. And you did 3 editions of the Floating Cinema, am I right? And until 2022, you led the public program of Ocean Space, so TBA 21. Correct. But today, you're here as social communication manager?
Yes.
Is this your job title? For Wetlands. And obviously, ciao Alice. Ciao. Is there anything else that I should add to my introduction?
Perfect.
What is Wetlands? Why are you here, and why are you part of this new project now? Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, so first of all, thank you so much, Chiara, Pia, Linda, for your invitation and work. Here today, we're gonna talk 30-40 minutes, not more, because Rimani has prepared an incredible breakfast that I know we all want to rush to the table and mingle together afterwards. But yes, today I will just briefly introduce a collective project, and I'm here to represent only a tiny voice of a bigger collective group. Wetlands, by the way, here we have some of the members or wetlanders, Janet Machado, Elena Scarpa. We are a collective group of creative people based in Venice, and Wetlands is an editorial project, not simply a publishing house, but it's like more more complex than that, and it has a catalog that publishes mainly non-fiction books, usually kind of like short books, long essays related to themes and topics of social justice and environments. The main mission of WETLANDS is also to put together a sense of citizenship in Venice, and not only based on cultural pluralism and environmental awareness. So a lot of the topics that we tackles are related to also environmental sciences. WETLANDS was born in 2021. Formally, the publishing house was born 1 year after. But as we were talking with Rimani, is also a project that was born in 2021 as a sort of reflection coming out of the COVID, the pandemic period. So WETLANDS was also a project that not only wanted to publish books, and here you see two books, L'Arcipelago delle Api by Chiara Spadaro and Dittico Idraulico by Frank Westermann, wanted to not only to publish books but also to create books, and to kind of bring back the mancrafts of printing back to Venice. Venice in the 16th century was one of the biggest capital cities in Europe for printing, as you might remember and know. So this idea that Venice is not only a passive receiver of the touristic effect or a victim somehow of the mass tourism, but also a main producer of creative ideas and objects. So the objects, the book, is also something that we really like to talk about it, because we think they're beautiful products to touch. They're all made with a local supply chain. So they're all designed, produced in Venice with eco-sustainable paper. Most of our covers, basically 90% of them, are made with this cover that is realized by with recycled algae, invasive algae from not only the Venetian lagoon but also other European lagoons. So yes, this idea of going back to the art craft, yes, of printing, and also doing this together with people that wanted to create an active citizenship in Venice.
And who's the founder, the launcher of this of WETLANDS?
So the founder of WETLANDS, well, here we have Janet Machado and Luca Cosentino, that are world travelers, but during COVID they came back to Venice. That is Luca Cosentino's original cities, and also with other friends, Venetians or adopted Venetians, as we say, together with, for example, Enrico Bettinello, Arianna Silvestrini, Shaul Bassi, Livia Senic. They came together and they wanted to create something for the collectivity. So WETLANDS also started not only as a publishing house but also as a non-profit enterprise and association called Reactive.
I see. Among the names that you listed, there are some professors in Ca' Foscari,
Yes.
and so I was wondering, like, how do you select collaborators for books and projects? Do people apply? Is it just, I don't know, is it just friendship or?
Well, it started, as said, in a very peculiar moment of also the pandemic, I think, brought people back to somehow their places. Like many people that were living outside of Venice suddenly came back, or people that were staying here started to reflect upon what could we have done together in a better way or a different way. So there was a sense of also spontaneous serendipity of friends connecting through each other's, for sure, but also in this kind of very natural flow, other people started to collaborate. For example, I'm quite a recent Wetlanders because I started 2 years ago, and I come from a more the contemporary art background, but working a lot with themes of ecology. And for example, I was working with Enrico Bettinello years ago on a podcast called Nautilus, Stories from a Contemporary Venice. So I was already kind of tackling these topics, and we kind of like met and started to work together. So for now we are a small group of collaborators, but also the way we select writers, for example, that are of course the main focus of the project, is something that is very also balanced in a way that we have very important or famous international names, like Frank Westerman is one of the most translated Dutch writer in the world, or we have Tiziano Scarpa, for example, one of the greatest Venetian poet and contemporary writer. But we also have, for example, Petra Codato. She's the author of Peregrinazioni Lagunari, one of our latest publications, and she is a young, talented writer, and the book comes out of her MA dissertation of Ca' Foscari. So we kind of also try to balance somehow like international names, local names, older writers, more emerging voices, in order to kind of keep this balance and equilibrium, mirroring also what wetlands, the wetlands as an ecosystem is. No, it's very varied, it's very multifaceted as a morphology, the one of wetlands. So we try also to keep this, to flow in the kind of working team.
And because we're saying it, why this name?
Wetlands is of course referring to the Venetian Lagoon ecosystem, in particular to the one of the salt marshes, but also to this hybrid atmosphere that puts together sweet with salt water, and then water with air and ground and earth, and also this idea that Venice is one of the main focus of our catalogs, not only, but also in a way that we try to deconstruct what the cliches or the masks that people have placed on the city have been framed, and somehow quoting also a very beautiful promotional campaign by We're Here Venice, Venice Lagoon. If you remember these posters going around the city a couple of years ago, this idea that Venice is first and foremost an environment. Yeah. So yes, this is the reason why it was called like that. I don't know. Janet, do you agree?
Perfect.
Okay.
And also the names of your series kind of reflect this idea. So can you tell us a little bit about the Fondamenta and Barene series?
Yes. So in the catalog we have more or less 25 books published. Quite a lot, and we publish more or less, also this year we will publish 1 book per month. And we have, it's a lot of work. And now we have 5 book series. One, as you said, is Fondamenta, is curated by Clara Zanardi and Giacomo Maria Salerno, also co-founders of Wetlands. And Fondamenta presents a series of books that focus on Venice, but precisely tries to create or highlight a counter-narration of the city, trying to somehow put a spotlight on voices and perspectives that have been neglected by historiography, or stories that have put at the margins, that are, for us, the milestones of urban events at the end of the day. For example, Venezia Africana, or Venice, African Venice, is part of Fondamenta, and is a beautiful book that presents itself as a guide, but you can basically read it also without going and strolling around the city with the book open, but presents basically how the history of Venice and the history of art and architecture is densely enriched with the African presence, especially of the one from the sub-Saharan area, which is an invisible but very, very present narration and history, from the funereal monument at Frari dedicated to the Doge Pesaro, to the blackamoor statues of Andrea Brustolon, to the representation of blackness in Renaissance paintings at the Galleria dell'Accademia, in paintings of Carpaccio or Gentile Bellini. So we, for example,
Othello.
Shakespeare as well,
Othello.
and Shaul Bassi, of course, writes about this also in African Venice, about the figure of Othello. And so, or for example, another great book of the series is Non è città per poveri by Paola Somma, that shows the story of the 21st century Venice through the angle of poverty, which is something that society keeps hiding, and how basically the main exodus of the, let's say, the middle class and poor part of society has escaped Venice, not necessarily only because of mass tourism, but because political decisions pushed this on purpose. So actually, Fondamenta tries to highlight these types of narration, and
And Barene instead?
And Barene instead is translated as Salto Marshes, is a book series that is created in collaboration with the master degree in environmental humanities, and is curated by Shaul Bassi and Serenella Iovino. And Barene basically tries to put together books that are related to environmental humanities at large. We have published books such as Oceano by Steve Mentz, who is a professor that kind of crystallized the concept of blue humanities. Some of you are nodding, you might know also how to look at oceanography and the ocean epistemologies through poetry and literature. Or we have also published a book by Federico Luisetti, a philosopher, professor at the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. The title of the book is Essere Pietra, Being a Stone, and it tries to tell the perspective of the rights of nature of minerals. So also the idea through contemporary art as well. So it kind of like, it's very interdisciplinary as an approach, and Barene also wants to kind of highlight the perspective of non-humans into the discourse of environments.
Okay, so we could like simplify by saying that maybe Fondamenta is more politically focused, and maybe Barene more environmentally focused. Is that would that be too simplistic to say?
Yes, kind of. Even though kind of the social, political, and environmental is very intertwined always, but. Yeah, maybe let's say, Fondamenta is more focused on probably the dynamics of the city, rather than Barene is more on this relationship between human and non-human elements.
One curiosity that I have, because I looked online, you do have a physical space that is sort of open up.
Yes.
And I was wondering, because you're very community oriented, like within yourself, within Wetlands as an institution, but are you also community driven outside? So do you have moments where it's possible to engage with the community?
Yes, a lot. We have a lot of these moments, and I'm actually more in charge together with also with Elena, but also with Janet, and we also want to kind of connect the book and writers with the community. So, for example, yes, we do have a physical space. Is Wetlands storage actually. And Janet's house also. And so yeah, we try to be together and share moments of like dinners and breakfast and talks, but also we try to expand outside the little space that we have, this beautiful storage that we have recently restyled, redesigned. But the idea also of, for example, here you have on the very left a picture of a floating presentation of the book by Petra Codato. So the book of Petra, Peregrinazioni Lagunari, talks about a very famous popular song of Venice, E mi me ne son dao, that kind of puts together a series of travelings in different islands of the Venetian Lagoon. And so we thought about, together with Libreria Marco Polo, of doing a reading out loud of some of the passages of the text with rowing boats only. So we collaborated with the guys of Venice on Board, thank you. And yeah, we put together a series of steps and presentation in Cannareggio. Or also we have started to create a series of events and gatherings at the Bocciofila San Sebastiano. We celebrated our 2nd birthday last year, and we are going to celebrate our 3rd birthdays on the 29th of May. You're all invited. We're going to do a collaboration with Tocha, that you also invited here, right? Yes. So to put together food, culture, friendship, and lively moment. So it is an important moment, not only for promotion of books, but also to connect with other people and just highlight these dynamics.
And to be aware of these events, I guess, like, we have to follow you on Instagram.
Yes, we are on Instagram, and our website is also functional.
And what do you foresee in the future? Like, what is next for Wetlands? What projects are you working on that you're particularly excited about?
Yes, so we have many things that we are cooking up, starting from the fresh new ones. For example, we have just published and launched a new book series called Eco-Critical Guides. And the Eco-Critical Guides are a series of books that basically focus on one foundation or museums in Venice. And they want to kind of look at the collections of these museums or the cultural heritage of the museum through an eco-critical perspective. So, for example, the first book published is dedicated to Fondazione Querini Stampaglia. So there are essays dedicated to Carlo Scarpa architecture, of course, or Roberto Longhi's paintings. And the next ones will be dedicated to Villa Malcontenta, to Cadoro, and Galleria dell'Accademia. So this is a really satisfying project we have just launched. We have one of the latest book series is Afterwards, is book series dedicated to writers, quite emerging but already known and talented writers from the African diaspora. And we have this series of residencies because we want to invite writers to come here, stay in Venice, and talk about Venice through their words and their perspective. The latest book we published about the series is by Fatina Bass. She's a Sudanese writer, and she just published this beautiful book called Black Time, Essays on the Invisible, where she speaks about her presence in Venice while genocides are going on in the world. So she speaks about the one in Sudan, she speaks about Gaza, she speaks about how is being a Sudanese writer in Venice now, no?
She lives in Venice.
She lives between New York and Berlin.
Okay.
And this series is continuing as well. But also we are working with we're going to publish soon another book that is a translation from English that is called Black Meme by the contemporary art curator Legacy Russell. She's the curator of The Kitchen in New York. And she's also the author of Glitch Feminism. And her second book is Black Meme and how meme and internet iconography has shaped and influenced the perception of blackness in the US. And it goes through a series of contemporary artworks, like, for example, the ones of Arthur Jaffa. And so we're going also to publish these kind of works that we think are very, very cutting edge and important. So we're going to also add this to the catalog. And I don't know if I'm, Janet, Elena, if I'm missing something, shout out. Yeah.
And you're, I see women here.
Yes.
Obviously, so I guess the percentage of men and women within Wetlands is kind of balanced, as you were saying. Are there any books specifically on women's subjects from your catalogue?
From our catalogue, a women's subject. Well,
Women on Venice.
Well, we do have essays that touch this perception. For example, in African Venice, we do not specifically about feminism or like female as like a specific angle, but it is very much present. I don't know if something comes to mind. I think Fatin's book is very much connected to also gender representation and stereotypes in a specific chapter of the book, Black Time. She kind of analyzes that as being a black female in Venice, for example.
It's hard because you don't see many. No, I guess.
Yes.
So. Okay, my last question before reading a beautiful question that I have to read because Linda wrote it and I don't want to change any word, would be related to the subject matter of the event today, which is Crossroad. And when I first, I started thinking about inviting you, and I thought that the theme was very much linked to what you do. And so I interpreted it as, you work a lot in an environment. In Venice, obviously, you consider it as an environment, as you rightfully said, first and foremost. But then Venice is so much, like it's many things all at once. It's a city of trade. Like we could list an endless list of things, and it's a place of intersection. So meeting yourself and meeting people in Venice is like being, in a way, at a crossroad. And this is how I kind of interpreted your work, and I chose you for this theme. How did you? What were you thinking when you thought, so crossroad is the theme? How could I link it to my speech today? So what were your thoughts about aligning to this theme?
Well, I thought it was quite difficult to narrow it down in 30 minutes because there are so many points of connections between this topic and wetlands. So first of all, because the link you just explained, like Venice is one of the most representative cities for this concept of crossroads. As a matter of fact, the books of wetlands that relate to the history of Venice are mainly connected to that, no? So the cultural pluralism that Venice has been developing is thanks to the fact that was one of the most important cities in Europe for trades, but also something that is not really necessarily connected to the political and historical history of Venice is also, if we want to interpret that from an environmental perspective, crossroads of elements also between human and non-human. So we go back to what wetlands are and what the project is, so to put together these types of perspectives. And also going back to the very simple yet fundamental idea that also printing was born in Venice, because in the 16th century Venice was the capital city of trade. So trade, crossroads and printing are all connected. As Alessandro Marzomagno taught me in the 16th century, also printing was very functional here, and books were not even binded. So they were just like layers of papers like put together and then shipped all around. And so yeah, this idea that crossroads are deeply connected to printing as a functional act, a necessity, and also a way to spread culture, then yeah, connected also to this human and non-human relationship. I
want to read Linda's question because it's so good. In Venice, many new initiatives are emerging that combine art, culture, ecology, and the protection of the Venetian environment. Compared to a few years ago, much progress has been made, but it's still important to keep informing people about the need to safeguard the lagoon, the city, and its inhabitants. What do you think is still missing in this scenario today?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. I'm on one hand, I'm really kind of positive and very proud of all the activities that are connected to activism and culture in Venice. From small ones like us to like maybe bigger committees that really impacted also the political system. If we think about Comitato No Grandi Navi, for example, that actually happened to radically changed also political decisions or influenced them. I think that what is missing, so in terms of like reflecting what we could do more, and also we were talking with Khalid Al-Bai, Sudanese writer who came to Venice. He was very impressed by how activism is everywhere in Venice. So, and he's an activist himself, very much. And he was like, I really admire how here in Venice you never stop fighting for like your sense of justice, how you kind of shout out loud like how Venice needs to resist, this sense of resistance. Nevertheless, for sure, we should do more. And I think this idea that because Venice is at the forefront of many critical points, contradictions, and problems that emerge here and then are expanded or are presented also in other geographical areas in the world, I think what Venice could do more is to kind of be at the forefront of many political, environmental struggles, and then try to kind of put together more geographies, and not being only self-centered somehow, but also to see Venice as a potential bridge for other problems that everywhere are happening nowadays. So I think we should do that, but yeah, keep doing that,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I don't know if you have questions or curiosities or, we are here.
Open up the conversation.
Thank you very much for all the explanations. I have, I think, 3 questions. One is, So you're publishing these books, but this is like, you act as a publisher, but for instance, where do you publish? Is it Kapostoli publishing, or is it, I don't know, like, what is the publishing?
Yeah, it's a good,
space?
yes. So we publish at Grafiche Veneziane, which is in Fondamenta 9 here in Venice. So we rely on Grafiche. They're great.
But it's your publishing house. I mean, basically, you act as a publishing
yes.
house.
Yes.
And how do you finance all these activities? And the last one, where do we find your books? I mean, if you want to buy them.
So, well, the publishing house is self-financed, and as for now, the let's say the publishing income is growing. Like in the last 2 years, it's like a growing prospect, which is nice because we are also involving and new people working in the project. And also last year we won a big public grant from Regione Veneto, for example, for the project afterwards, which was great because it allowed the printing, the translation, and the residency program. And then the other question, where you can find our books. Basically everywhere in Venice. So we are in every bookshop, also within museums. Like if you go to, I don't know, Capesaro or Correr, you can really find us everywhere in Venice, and also in other bookshops in Italy. We do not have a online store, but you can also buy online, even though we recommend supporting local bookshops if possible. Thank you for your questions.
But they're in what? In which language? Italian and English?
We mainly have Italian books, but then we have two of the, let's say, bestsellers of the catalog. Venice and the Anthropocene is in English. African Venice is also in English, and then we have the catalog of waves, Il Catalogo delle Onde by Tiziano Scarpa, and Anna Zemella is presented in 2 languages in the same book. Yeah.
Fondazione Periodista.
And Fondazione, yes, grazie, yes, thank you, Elena.
For now.
For
now, yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but you're going to have also a book in Spanish.
Yes, this is, Adrian said the very last news, yes. And he's very proud, of course, now, being Spanish himself.
I feel like Wetlands occupies like a really niche space in the publishing realms. The fact it's focused on Venice and the type of books that you publish are quite literary non-fiction, like they're really beautifully written. Do you feel like you have any competitors or any other publisher that's doing a similar thing or has a similar project?
Well, yes, there are other beautiful, I mean, they're not really competitors. We don't really perceive them as competitors, but there are other interesting publishing houses that are also based in Venice and publish books about Venice. For example, I'm thinking about Linea d'Acqua, that is a beautiful project. But of course, we have another kind of also nature, mainly also because we have this idea that the book is made in Venice and the writer works a lot with the editorial team, and we have all these activities also connected to the community. But yeah, we would like also to expand somehow what you were just saying, that a lot of things are related to Venice, but we would like also to expand a little bit more on the rest of the geographies. Yes.
Because you, sorry, I'm carrying on, but because you were talking about the book Black Meme.
Black Meme by Legacy Russell.
That sounds quite different to what you've done before, and
yeah.
It's not at all related to Venice.
No, exactly. It's not related to Venice at all. But that's why we're also kind of adding more layers of complexities to the catalog. Also trying to see not only how to narrate Venice to the rest of the world, but also what we think is interesting coming from the rest of the world and bringing to Venice.
Yeah.
No, so also to exchange these currents.
Yeah. just to make a quick comment about that. Yesterday I was speaking with a musician. He comes from the Ivory Coast, and we were just saying this because he told me, yeah, Venice has a great potential, but sometimes I wonder, like, why don't you as a citizen don't crave for different cultures? Like him as a black musician being here and not having the possibility to play his music, not having the... In fact, I would actually love to invite him for a Creative Mornings and play.
Yeah, you
But you know, not having like all these spaces, and us from our perspective not being exposed to something that comes from the outer world is, I think, pretty crucial here, because we are self-centered. Like as Italian culture is very predominant, especially nowadays, like looking at what's happening politically. Yeah, we should open up to something different and also create spaces for, yes, Venetians, but also people who kind of choose Venice as a place to be, and yeah, like show that in a way diversity is accepted, not tolerated, but like widely accepted and valued and welcomed, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just make it comment? I just really wanted to say that it's been really interesting to see the Wetlands publications kind of grow, because in a world where generally people are not publishing world is kind of a difficult world anywhere.
Deirdre, do you want to come a little bit closer so we hear you better?
I just wanted to say it's been really interesting to see, if you like, your world or your platform grow, and especially, you know, when underlining the history of book, the history of Venice, it's obviously entirely appropriate that editore, bookshops, you know, continue and be really strong here, and it sort of goes against the outside currents, if you like. People who work in publishing in London are in crisis because obviously it's really hard. Real books,
It is.
internet, it's conflict. But so it's been nice kind of seeing how it's been developing, and obviously listening to your future plans is great. More.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, the editorial world is really tough, especially today. It's not an easy path, and it's full of obstacles and challenges. But Wetlands has borne under a very lucky star because of people supporting it. It's very much loved and supported by friends and people that just want to help. Just thinking about the curator of the series Afterwards, the one dedicated to African diaspora, is Mazza Mengiste. She's an internationally well-known writer. She's half Ethiopian, half American. And she's curating the series, you know, just for free, just to support African talents. And it's the project is also growing because of people loving it and supporting it. And it's, we, fingers crossed, we hope it can continue this way.
But it's also, I mean, for someone, if you love books, you know, it needs to feel good in your hands.
Yes,
as well, right?
yes,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, the physical nature of it is also something that I feel that you curate.
Yes, yeah, it's a mission also, the materiality. You know, we always say that Wetlands books are sexy to touch. because they're just really well done and realized, and they're designed by Sebastiano Girardi Studio, based in Venice, who has these beautiful graphics that are... Arianna is here. Ciao Arianna, another Wetlanders. Yeah, and also the covers are very somehow recognizable. So we don't have like a title that has a cover that is just connected to a specific topic and another one that goes in another direction, because we want to be also recognizable as a curatorial and editorial project with a unity. Yeah. I think yes.
I have an editorial question and a distribution question. So for the editorial, it seems like the books are academic-ish, using facts, and so I'm curious about fact-checking, peer review, how does that work? And then for distribution, do you work also with distributors outside of Italy? Because like I want to assign the Anthropocene book to my students in the US, so like how would someone who wants to do that actually get to bring it more to an international audience?
Yes. Well, according to so we only have like one book. Venice and the Anthropocene was the result of a university conferences by Ca' Foscari. And the book is curated by Cristina Baldacci, professor of contemporary art at Ca' Foscari, and Shaul Bassi, also professor of Ca' Foscari. And as said, some of our books are connected to and affiliated to the university, or the curators are professors. They're not peer-reviewed. But yeah, the fact-checking is, of course, fundamental. They are not technically academic in the language because we want the books to be accessible also to people who are not in the academic world. So the language is kind of like milder and kind of broader. We want people to kind of be able to understand complexity in a precise but also efficient way. And according to the US distribution, we have a couple of titles that have been acquired by an American publishing house, especially African Venice, just was published there. And it's possible to buy books online for now, but we really hope that also we will be able to expand not only to the US, of course, but worldwide, in case it will be successful. Thank you for your questions and presence.
Yeah, I think we can cut the questions off for now, but obviously you have time during breakfast to ask some more, because now I wanted to introduce very briefly our friends from Rimani. You were already worried. No, you can. They were worried. They didn't want to speak. No, because it was interesting, the conversation we had before. We were talking about COVID. We were talking about the pandemic. So many projects kind of started because of this. And Rimani is a beautiful and quite new. You're the very first. How'd you say in English? Like bulk shop. Bulk shop. So selling products without packaging. And you're currently located in Castello, but you're moving soon to a new location. In Campo Santi Apostoli, close to Campo Santi Apostoli, we can say it. So not far from here. And it's interesting because you were saying, and sorry, this will end up in a little conversation between you and me. But you were saying that the idea of a shop is not the idea of creating a shop. It's more about creating a place, a workshop, a communal space where people can bring together, obviously, products related to like food, but also craftsmanship. And as it originated in the first place, it was you and your longtime friend Orsetta, who does projects with recycled materials. So obviously the name Rimani comes from this. Rimani is a pun, is a combination of many words, and there's this idea of reusing certain materials, but obviously the verb in Italian, rimani, to remain, there's also a connection to the fact and an invite, as you rightfully said before, to stay in Venice, to consider Venice as a magical place to be, and to stay in Venice during COVID, instead of going away. And it started off as a project where you would sell food and other products, but also craftsmanship, like pieces of, pieces of, how would you say, or artifacts, objects. But the idea behind it is your vineyards. That was launched in 2019, am I correct? That was created in 2019.
Yeah, the money in 2021.
Yeah. Which is now not visitable, but maybe will be in the future. And something really nice that I would like also to share with you all is the fact that some of, obviously, the products that are sold at Rimani come from the activity of the vineyard, especially those related to the fruit trees, and to collect and to produce and rework the fruit, you collaborate with an association that works with young people, or is it mixed age, with neurodivergencies and psychiatric problems. And this is like the idea behind it is to create an experiment and a project that is sustainable at all levels.
Yeah.
And today you brought us a huge variety of things. Some obviously are not produced by you, but with people that you work with, that people you like to support. And Rimani is, in a way, a workshop. So if you, what would you say to people who would want to maybe?
They have to try to enter in our shop, so it's nothing to explain. It's a place where we have the pleasure to meet the people, like the old shop in Venice. So we grew in Venice when we were young, and we remember the old shop where all the name of the people. So you cross the road and say ciao, ciao, ciao. Say Rimani actually is in the Barbaria shop, in the Barbaria street, and re-establishment, the same mood. So we know all the shop close to the hour, and we decided to move Rimani from there to respond to Venetian people. They ask us to where in a central point. So we move in August, and we will close to the Cop Giorgione, where is a shop zone with all the shop also there. So we have to. You have to come inside.
No, but it's nice, the idea of a proximity kind of business. So to bring back, this thing that doesn't exist anymore, basically, because it's all about mass production and big chains, and to be, as you say, to be able to come and say hi and know people by the names, and so. We're all ready to try.
And thank you in advance for bringing your products and activity here.
No, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. It's always a pleasure.